these notes are all about measuring with a ruler. So your learning targets are, I can explain why being accurate is important, and I can measure with a ruler. What does accuracy mean? Accuracy is a level of being correct. Why do we care about being accurate? We want to be as correct as possible, right? If you go into a store and you're going to buy a $4 item and use a $20 bill to pay for it, you want the cashier to be accurate, right? You don't want them to just give you $15 because it's close enough. No, you want them to be accurate and correct with the amount of change they owe you. In science, we also want to be able to compare our data with each other. So if we're all measuring the same way, we can now compare our data. How to measure using a ruler. So your first rule is measure what you know for sure plus one estimated digit. Always include a unit. And our rulers should always have 2 numbers after the decimal. So let's take a look at our ruler here. So we have this big number 2 and this big number 3. All right. These numbers that are big will always come before the decimal. It is one of the numbers that we always know for sure. So for example, we could have 2 point something and we could have 3 point something, right? So it is the number before the decimal. We then have a whole bunch of tiny little lines, right? So these numbers here would be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. If you think it falls on this very first line, that's a 0, or this very last line, that is also a 0. All right, so these numbers here are the first number after the decimal, right? So for example, you're going to have a number, decimal, and then one of these numbers. So let's just pick the number 8 and then a number after it. All right, so where does that last number come from? That last number comes from the small space in between 2 of these lines. Okay, so this is going to be your second number after the decimal. All right, this is estimated. So how do we estimate it? So you divide this tiny little space into half, and anything that is closer to this line is going to be a number between 1 and 4. Any one that's closer to the second line will be between 5 and 9. All right, so that's a lot of little information. So our red number we know for sure, our blue number we know for sure, and our green number is going to be estimated. So we're going to take a look at what this means with a couple of examples. All right, so we're going to find the measurement of the block. All right, so remember our rule. Measure what you know for sure plus one estimated digit. So overall, we're going to look to have something dot something something. All right, so remember the first number comes from the big number written on our ruler. So if I take the edge of my block, right, the edge of my block, and I come straight down and I look over, okay, what is the big number that comes to the left? It's 82. All right, so 82 is going to be before the decimal. So remember the second number comes from how many little lines it comes after. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and remember those little numbers, it's the first number after the decimal, so 5. And remember the last number is something we are estimating. All right, so I'm going to look in between the two lines, so in between this line and this line. Where do I think that yellow line falls? Do I think it's closer to the left side, or do I think it's closer to the right side? I'm going to say the left, but it is very close to the center. So remember that if it's closer to the left side, it's going to be a number between 1 and 4. If it's closer to the right side, it's going to be between 5 and 9. So I'm going to say that it's a 4, right? The green number is estimated. When we estimate, are we all going to be the same? No, right? So we are not always going to estimate the same number, and that is okay. All right, there are a range of correct answers for one measurement because there is an estimation. All right, and the very last thing we need to always remember is we need to have a unit. All right, so our unit here is centimeters, right? Because with rulers in this class, we will always measure in centimeters. Let's try another one. All right, so figure out where the edge of your object is. Draw a line straight down. All right, so again, remember that your first number, if you come straight down, always go to the left. What is your first number before the decimal? It is 83. So what is your first number after the decimal? How do we find that out? Remember, it's the number of little lines, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And how do we figure out that last digit? Remember, it is estimated. So we're going to estimate between the left line and the right line. So again, if it's closer to the left, it's going to be an estimate of 1 to 4. If it's closer to the right line, it'll be an estimate of 5 to 9. So which side do we think it's closer to? I think it's closer to the right. And I think it's pretty close to the end, so I'm going to estimate that it's a 9. So 83.89. And what do we always need to have at the end? Centimeters. All right, so remember that we all may estimate that green number slightly different. So our red and our blue numbers should be the same, but our green number may be slightly different. All right, how long is the pencil? So again, take my line and come straight down so I can see where I'm at. Right, so come straight down, go to the left. What's my big number? 75. I know that for sure. I also know for sure how many little numbers are after it. So remember, I'm going to count 1, 2. All right, and then remember I need to estimate. And are we all going to estimate the same thing? Not necessarily. So that's okay, right? I'm going to look at the lines that it's between. So it's in between this one and this one. So the left and the right. Remember that if it's closer to the left, it can be 1 through 4. If it's closer to the right, it could be 5 through 9. If, however, I think it is exactly on the line, I can estimate a 0. So hopefully remember that from the very first ruler we looked at, where we labeled it. Remember that if you think it's exactly on a line, it can be a 0. So I think it's 75.20, and what do I need to have at the end? I need to have my unit. All right. How long is the baseball bat? So again, take my number, come straight down. What is the number that's to the left? It is 95, so I know that for sure. I also know for sure how many little lines it's after, so count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and here is now where I estimate. So I'm going to look which two little lines is it between. So the left side and the right side. Which side do I think it's closer to? I think it's closer to the right. So I'm going to estimate that it is an 8. Again, our estimate does not have to be the same. What else do we need to include? Our unit for centimeters. All right, so try this one on your own. What is the measurement of the taki? What did you measure? So if we're looking at this and I come straight down, I know for sure that it should be 5 points. And how many little lines am I after? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's an estimate. How close to the right or the left line do I think I am? I think I'm pretty darn close to the right line, so I'm going to go with a 9. So, what did you get? Did you get something close to a 5.59? If you had 5.58, 5.60, 5.57, 5.56, 5.55, those are all acceptable answers. Try this last one on your own. What is the measurement of the block? All right, let's see how close we are. So if I come straight down, what's my number over here on the left? That's 17 point. How many little lines am I after? 1, 2, 3. And again, I'm going to estimate here, right? Left side or right side. So if I think I'm closer to the left side, I'm going to say it's 17.34. So again, you have some room here. So other acceptable answers, 17.33, 17.32, 17.31. All right, so again, there is some room for the estimate to adjust, okay? So as long as we're close on the estimate and we have all our other numbers the same, we are good to go.